What's up, guys? My name is John Evans. I coach a lot of the highest jumpers in the world, and this is my training. And the reason I like to post training so much is because it inspires me, it motivates me, and it just helps me in general be a better coach. As someone who just loves sports and loves training, I think if I didn't train myself, I would be, one, doing myself a disservice because A, I really enjoy it. B, as I said, it definitely makes me a better coach. I learn from being an athlete myself. And then also, I love to jump high, and I like to jump higher. So yeah, this is what I'm doing here. Today was the first week of a new mesocycle. Remember, a mesocycle is typically a month. I wrote this down when I was sitting in a coffee shop. Kind of was just a little bit complacent with the last year of training. Reason being, I had to deal with a lot of different facility issues, like even finding a court somewhat regularly that either I could get into, and that even necessarily hasn't been figured out fully, but just getting into a court regularly that I could dunk into, finding somewhere we could do Olympic lifts and potentially sprint. You guys might not know this, but Florida does not have any public tracks that have like actual track surface on it. They're all like cement, or you have to know someone if you do want to get on a track. Even UCF is next to impossible to get onto. It's also pretty far, so I would have to drive 30 minutes to potentially, or 40, to maybe get on a track, but probably not, or I risk getting kicked off. So that's been a little bit of an issue. And then running outside, I live in an apartment complex. I was running on the street where Isaiah used to live, but he actually moved. So I haven't really found a great spot. I have been problem solving, but more or less I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I am just going to write my training as if I am only training at 24-hour, and I'm just going to be okay with that and do what I can inside of those kind of boundaries and limitations. And I know a lot of other people that train, obviously run into these issues, but for me, I don't know, I just like being on the track. I really do enjoy it. So it's kind of a bummer, but living in Florida is definitely to like the benefit of Isaiah and I as far as a coach athlete and then the business. So yeah, I'll probably continue to stay here and make sure that, we take care of those things. And then also, moving forward, if I buy a house or something like that in the area, I'll definitely try to make sure that there's at least a field, or maybe I'll start volunteering with a high school track team, which would be kind of hilarious. Like, I guess most people don't know this, but I love track, and I used to coach at Duke. And, yeah, I think it would just be funny, like, D1 coach just casually volunteering at high school. Anyway, so, yeah, I am doing Snatch here. This was a triple. It's actually just a snatch pull. Emphasis here is maintaining really good posture, shoulder blades down, making sure that I have a good hook grip on the bar, and then getting a big acceleration on it. After that, I got into the depth drops here. The reason being is I wrote out each progression for my Olympic lifts. I wrote it out for my strength work. I wrote it out for my plyometrics and the tempo volume. And one of the issues that I always run into, like I said, was not having access to ways to do like locomotive activities, so running, sprinting, things like that. There's just a curved treadmill here, which has a little bit of an incline. I looked up some of the data on it, and I think that it's 25% more difficult. So I just assumed that if I could run, 18 miles an hour on that, or if I can run 10 meters per second on a track, that's roughly 22 miles an hour on a Woodway treadmill. That's going to be about 18, I think 19 miles an hour is what I worked out to. I don't know exactly. So that's how I wrote the tempo volume. And then also I am doing that on the general days, which I'll probably show another time. But I was doing the depth drops to prep for the plyo volume, because that's a great way to get in more locomotive or elastic type work. I think a lot of the time it's tempting to just fall in the habit of only doing the weight room. And as a 1 foot jumper, you just don't have that luxury. It's really important to make sure that you're still, doing some sort of elastic activity, whether it's a warm up or running or sprinting, whatever it may be. Me personally, I like to do a lot of tempo running. I think as a 1 foot jumper, being lean is really important. And for me, I do that by doing sprints. And if I don't have access to a track, obviously it's going to be difficult to stay lean. So after that, you guys may have saw I did some RDLs. I did not, well, I showed at the end the leg extension, but I did staggered RDLs, I think, this day. Ended up working up to, I think it was 135 or 155, relatively light. Again, it's just week one. My calves were so freaking sore, so freaking sore, and it's just a matter of novelty, right? Like, even though I was jumping, I guess it just wasn't quite the same as like a seated calf raise or a standing calf raise, and as a result, yeah, I was really sore. So I think this was Wednesday, I believe, and it wasn't. No, it was the worst this day. Friday wasn't as bad, but this day was pretty brutal. You can see I'm only doing, I think, 3 or 4 45s here on the calf raise. The calf raise for me is pretty light. But, yeah, it was just enough volume and novelty where it just absolutely destroyed me. You guys will see here I did some pull-ups as well, bleeding in some upper body volume just to add a little bit more volume. I like to do full range of motion pull-ups because kind of works the lats, multi-joint movement. Potentially there's some benefits to the hormones and body composition as well. So I think I did 4 sets of 8 or something like that. Initially wrote 4 sets of 10, but rest was minimal, and honestly my upper body's just pretty weak right now. So I'll definitely improve on that over the next coming weeks. And then I finished up with some leg extension. So the leg extension, I think on this machine I was at like 135 or something like that, which is not bad, but again, I'm using this period of time to build up the structure of my tendons, my muscles, and my bones. That's ultimately what you're trying to do in that first general cycle. You're addressing a lot of structural capacities. Again, you want to see hypertrophy happen in ideally type 2 muscle fibers in that cross-sectional area, but that may or may not happen if your intent's not high enough. So this is really just to improve the overall cross-sectional area of that muscle fiber. Typically when you're doing a lot of volume, you'll see that happen in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which is where we hold our calcium ions, which if you guys have looked at Chris Corfist, I think it is, he's been talking a lot about the fatigue related to that. So maybe it's possible that there's some positive adaptations there, or likely there are. But yeah, that's the first day of the training. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are interested in getting individualized programming, go to THPStrength.com, and yeah, we'll help you out. Thanks, guys, and talk soon.